This is Caleb Thomas, and thank you for watching Video Solutions. Make sure to like and share this brand new interview with Canadian electronic artist Bill Jobs, and also stream Bill Jobs on Spotify. He is linked down below in the description. And here we go.
All right, man. Well, Bill Jobs, it's great to have you here today.
Yeah, good to meet you, man.
My name's Caleb, by the way, Caleb Thomas. I'm based here in Missouri. Where are you based out of?
Well, I grew up here in Kingston, Ontario. So I'm here in Canada. Yeah, I grew up here and then I moved to Montreal, lived there for 14 years, and I've been back here since 2019.
Okay, so you're in Ontario currently.
Yeah. Mm.
Got it. And do you have like what is your day-to-day job? Are you a full-time artist or do you have another stream of income?
Uh, well, I guess like before I started, right now I'm doing freelance sound design and music. So Um, I was working with Sam Hyde. He uses a lot of my music in his videos and stuff. And he started a game project that's going to be a long term sort of thing, like a called the Joyride Universe. And he got me to do some sounds for that. And at the same time, I'm also doing another indie game project with my friend who lives in the UK right now. And I'm making the soundtrack for that. And yeah, I've been spending most of my time on that for work these days. But beforehand, I was doing iPhone development. So like one of one of the things that I did right out of university, I did music tech at McGill. So it was kind of like learning how to be a music student and a computer programmer at the same time. And so like right out of school is pretty much when the big iPhone craze started happening, and like
Yeah.
people started like there was like the App Store gold rush thing. And I decided I wanted to make a couple of synths just for myself because I thought it'd be cool to have a touchscreen synth, and maybe you could do some different stuff that you couldn't do like with a normal like a normal software synth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made a couple of independent synth apps, just selling them on my own, and then I don't know, working as a video game tester for a bit, and then like maybe working for other companies. But eventually, yeah, I just landed on doing sound design and music using my synths because it's much more creative. It's much more enjoyable, and
Then like physical hardware or are you saying then being a designer?
then being a programmer, like I've just been kind of moving from doing music software to music with my software.
So
If that makes sense.
I've noticed in your live streams or not
Uh-huh.
live streams, but your where you're cooking up on YouTube, you're
Yeah.
using a touchscreen synth it looks like, and I was kind of curious about
Yeah.
that. I noticed you're in Ableton too, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So that's something you actually like programmed yourself.
No, the main app that I use is called Elastic Drums, and it uses the same kind of audio engine. It's based on a software called Pure Data. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Do you know Max MSP?
I do not.
Okay, well, Max MSP and Pure Data are both kind of like graphical programming environments where you have little boxes and you kind of hook them up with wires. It's kind of like drawing modular synth diagrams sort of thing. So this is really really old and but really really flexible software, and it's been used as the engine for like my synth as well as this drum synth that you saw in the videos. So that's developed by a German guy named Oliver Gresk, and yeah, we kind of like talk back and forth just on like because I use his app a lot, and a lot of my app's samples are like presets in his app, and there's a lot of Bill Jobs presets in Elastic Drums as well. So right now, like I think I discovered that in about 2015 or so, and I just haven't looked back. Like my main workflow now for making music is just my app SynthQ, which is where I generate most of the sounds, and then Elastic Drums, which is a nice 6-track sequencer slash synth. So you can, I can import all my samples, and then actually it has its own synths for percussion too. So you can really tweak like whatever you want out of it. And then afterwards, I just throw everything onto Ableton and then record it on tape. I've got my Tascam over here. I don't know if you see
Yeah.
that.
Can't go wrong with Tascam products. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was really, kind of amazing. I was going to ask you later on in this conversation, sort of as a bit of a closer, if you knew Sam Hyde or if you were aware that he uses your tracks in some of his videos. So yeah,
Oh
a
yeah.
buddy of mine turned me on to him, and he's a huge fan, and he actually told me, make sure you ask him, do you have a relation to Sam Hyde or anything like that? So I think that's interesting that you came out the gate telling me that.
Oh, well, that's just kind of how I got into what I'm doing right now, basically, because I think like I was uh I was just making kind of like lo-fi housey music, and then I found this workflow that I had with those apps that I was working on, and then just started putting out tracks. And one day I sent Sam a tune, Bob Force.
Yeah,
I forget why, or maybe he was asking for music. I forget why I sent it to him in the first place, but he ended up using it and then asking for like all of my other stuff to put in Hide Wars and stuff. And then from there on, like I have like a lot of following coming from like MDE fans, which is pretty cool. And then of course, like I got to start working on the sound design stuff too, which was nice. And yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. I've talked to Sam a few times, but I mean, he's like crazy busy, obviously.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, we might. Yeah, we might be getting back on the sound design stuff too. I think. I'm not sure where things are at with the project. I think they were like doing some other stuff for a bit.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, so just going back to years and years ago when you started working on music,
Mm.
really growing up, what sort of music did you gravitate toward most growing up that led to the sound that you've adopted now?
um. Well, uh, like growing up, I was like classically trained, so I started piano at age 5, and then I got into guitar like pretty young too. In terms of like music that I liked and listened to, um, I don't know. I think as I was learning music, especially learning guitar, I got really into like metal and stuff. Obviously, just because I wanted to learn how to play the guitar fast and good. And then but at the same time, like I mean, like growing up in the 90s, hearing electronic music, uh, like it was always like so cool and futuristic at the time, and like I don't know, just like very very exciting and intriguing, because it kind of like it was like a world that I wasn't really experiencing in small town Kingston, Ontario. And yeah, I'd be listening to like iTunes internet radio a lot, and it would just be, you know a lot of trance and techno, basically no track titles. It would just be straight streams of like DJ sets and stuff. uh and then I don't know, like in terms of like what I like now, I think maybe in universities when I really got into just like electronic music as a whole, and like got really deep into it, just because moving to Montreal is like probably one of the best has probably one of the best electronic music scenes in Canada. I mean, I don't know for sure, but It's the best one that I've seen, and there's like absolutely everything going on of any genre.
So
Uh,
you really answered my next question. I was going to ask, is there a strong scene in Canada in general, or in
yeah,
Ontario specifically? Yeah.
it does seem so. I feel a little bit isolated still, just because I'm like pretty much, underground artist tier,
Hmm.
and I haven't really played any shows or anything. I did like a couple of art shows in Montreal that were just kind of for friends, but not really a big deal. And then, things are a little bit weird here with like legalities and whatnot for like COVID. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm just right now I'm kind of focused on just maintaining what I have going and just putting out more tunes, getting back on the live streams because I haven't done one of those in like a couple years now.
Hmm.
And yeah, seeing what happens from there. I don't know. There seems to be like where I am now, it's a smaller town. It's like maybe 120,000 people, and there's basically no electronic music scene. I think there's like maybe two people doing stuff here.
Hmm. So really, you could kind of corner the market in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't let me into a very large amount of bars here as of September 22nd. Yeah, I'd have to go to the places who aren't gonna get me to show them a QR code.
So post learning the piano,
Mhm.
playing guitar, things like that, when did you actually begin to record music into a DAW?
Yeah, okay. Well, when I was 17, I was in a black metal band with my high school buddies, and yeah, we were doing kind of like cheesy synth black melodic black metal, like Dimmu Borgir, Cradle of Filth type stuff. And I got GarageBand for the first time, so we used that to record like a 4-track EP. And I had no idea what I was doing back then at all. And I was
Hmm.
just like, "What? Why is the kick drum so quiet?" And like, it had zero concept of mixing. But still, I mean, for what it's worth, GarageBand is a pretty solid tool to just like get started.
Certainly.
And yeah, then after that, going to I use GarageBand for like school projects and stuff. And then I had a sort of techno thing with a couple of friends where he was like we would record his microKORG in, and then we'd make little techno beats on GarageBand. And then in university, I learned Logic, and it took me years reluctantly to get into Ableton, but now that's just kind of like my main thing.
Oh yeah. You really can't beat Ableton, I don't think.
No,
I've
and I
never
don't.
I've never like extensively worked with any other DAW, but just it's been Ableton all the way since like for me like since 2015,
Yeah,
and I never wanted to change honestly.
yeah. As soon as you learn all the shortcuts and you can start doing things fast, it makes a
Hmm.
huge difference. I just remember like really, I don't know. I think that I have a fear of learning something new initially, but then once I get over it, I'm like completely all right with it.
Right.
You get stuck
So
in that way.
so you spent some time kind of screwing around, as you say, with friends, making
Oh,
tracks here and
give me a sec. I'm just getting a knock on my door.
oh, all right.
Oh, sorry. All right. Sorry for being all over the place.
Oh, you're totally fine. I'm just glad you're here.
Word.
So, uh, when did Bill Jobs become, when did you take on that stage name, that sort of character? When did you actually start releasing material under that uh, moniker?
The first I'm gonna say like 2015-ish.
And how many years is that out of university, as you say?
Okay, so I graduated 2011,
Okay.
and then I guess 4 years later, like the actual Bill Jobs name, it was completely unrelated. Like while I was still in school, I was dating somebody who was, and she was complaining about her iPod one day, and she was just like, it's not working. Thank you, Bill Jobs, and it was, yeah, completely unintentional, and I'm just like, that would be an amazing producer name, so it just kind of stuck. And yeah, it would be kind of like a bizarre world tech CEO is going to try to sell you a washer and dryer that'll like read your fortune or something. And then yeah, I don't know, I just really liked just I from that name, like I felt an aesthetic.
Yes.
And then I started getting into SoundCloud pretty deep. Like I'd never really used it before to discover music, and I'm glad that I started because I got into lo-fi house and I discovered the artist Yan City Girl. So it was just all these people doing this weird, gritty, low fidelity produced dance music that just sounded like I don't know, very underground and cool. So I and the other thing that I liked about it too is that the bar was a little bit lower for production quality, so you could be a little bit more creative with like the the shittiness. And then so I wrote a couple of tracks using SynthQ, and those were like the first Bill Jobs tracks, the Future Fashion, Money Bitches Dope. And then I did Hypercard, and I think that was kind of like when the sound sort of solidified.
That hypercard aesthetic is the first project I heard from you. I think the same friend that I mentioned earlier, who's a fan of Sam Hyde,
Hmm.
he showed me the track hypercard aesthetic, and we were listening to your tape for like weeks,
Sick.
pretty much. Yeah, and just talking about it left and right. Like, this guy is so dope. Like, no one knows about him. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Uh, Mermaid Rave, Lily Pad, favorites. Uh, let's see. So, like, how do you feel about your older material as opposed to now? I mean, are you satisfied with the things you were doing back in 2015? Are you more happy with what you're doing now? And where's your sound heading?
It's kind of interesting because it's been kind of like a slowly building kind of like pipeline because like when I was first just like experimenting with elastic drums and just doing this kind of like new workflow of making music, it was hard to it was hard to finish tracks at first because I would like jam out a bunch of parts, but then just using the software itself is kind of finicky, like uh, as opposed to doing it on Ableton or whatever.
Hmm.
And you have to like think about it in a different way. So like back then, I think my tracks were much more incomplete, and I have a lot more like work in progress stuff that's still just laying around unfinished from there. So what I've been doing is like, you know, as I've been doing this over the years, I've developed kind of like a step by step process. Like I'll do a jam where I just make as much patterns as I want and make sure that there's enough variation in them that I could pull out of them a full track. Like it's like a palette of beats.
Hmm.
And then afterwards, I arrange it in an order that makes sense. And then afterwards, I just add variation, polish, do the mix, and then like whatever extra stuff I want to add in Ableton. So it's like um it's when I look at the old stuff, it's just kind of like I could see that sort of workflow starting to happen. And I think my music is better now, but I don't really I'm not really disappointed by the stuff I made back then either. Like I feel like this is probably the first project that yeah, it feels like ready, if that makes sense. Beforehand, when I was learning production and stuff, I would make tracks and I would try to be emulating a certain sound. Like I'd be like, oh, I want to make a deep dubstep track, or I want to make a sort of like EBM thing. And then with Bill Jobs, it was kind of like it became its own thing. And yeah, it's just like been a constant, steady improvement, I guess. Like
Hmm.
right now, I I've gotten I could probably get pump out tracks like in a day if I wanted to, just because I do that every day for work now. So
So before you say, like, let's take your latest project, for example, the latest
mhm.
project you put on Spotify.
Yep.
How many tracks did you record before condensing them into that project, or was that all the recorded material intended?
Um. Oh, I can maybe show you. Like, so that one, what makes us dangerous? I started that one. I'm just opening the file right here.
Well, I just
Started that
meant is
one
there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
like how many tracks before I like settle on the final thing sort of thing? Like what is the
Basically,
refinement process?
yeah. I'm just basically wondering if there is a huge pool of 50 tracks or something that you sift through to uh
Yeah,
to make a
yeah, okay.
cohesive project, or how that works exactly.
So what I usually do is I'll start a preset with this app. You probably can't see it with the light.
Oh, I can see.
And like each on the left side of the page there's like your bank of patterns. So each one of those is a beat. So like playing at the wrong BPM right now. So like when I'm starting a track, I'll just be like, jamming on one of these patterns, and then I'll copy it and then change a couple of instruments and then copy that and change it a little bit and just keep doing that until I have a good amount of stuff to pull from. And so what ends up happening is I'll have like a big blank page where I end up putting the track. And then at the very bottom, I have all my patterns, like my palette that I pull from. So it's like literally like Bob Ross, like, okay, these are intro patterns. I'll put them up here. And then like these are going to be for more of a build up or a climax. So I'll throw them up here. That's how I've just like made it faster for myself because like I don't know, there's no undo button, for example, on this app, and there's certain things like if you have it in song mode and you change one parameter of a synth, it'll change it for all the tracks for the rest of the song, and then you have to reload. So a lot of trial and error, but that's how I do it. I just kind of have like a palette of different flavors, and then
Yeah.
I try to put them in order of like that makes sense in terms of energy.
Every producer definitely has their own crazy method that works for them. It might not work for everybody, but you know,
Yeah, as long as you
it's
can find something that works for you, you know.
certainly. So, um, bit off topic, but what do you think your music says about your personality?
Uh, yeah. Well, I like to make music that I physically enjoy. So a big thing that I'm interested in is synesthesia, where Like I got interested in kind of like taking different data streams and then converting them or transferring them to different media. So like taking image and converting it into sound or vice versa, or you know, taking sound and converting it to like a physical sensation. So for me, when I'm making electronic music or I'm listening to electronic music, it's like I'll be feeling the bass at the base of my spine, and then like it'll be at like analogous. I'll hear the higher frequencies kind of like at the top of my head, and so really that way I'm just trying to create a pleasant experience,
Right.
whole body experience. And I don't know, I'm a trippy guy. I like to make trippy sounds, and it's all about the feeling, man. Like I just create a beat until it resonates with me, and then other people have told me that like they feel that sort of like sixth sense, and that's kind of what I'd like to cultivate.
So you
um,
you are truly considering the sound design, that's the full body experience. That's interesting. I think a lot of people just find aesthetics that they think are pleasing and they just run with it. But it's interesting that you were considering kind of an extra layer, you know?
yeah, well, I even just with mixing too, like when you're mixing a piece of music, you can sort of feel in the space where things should fit. And I think with electronic music, it goes even further because you have so much more control over the sonic textures. So you can like the sky's the limit basically.
Right.
And um, yeah, it's like I really want to see if I can evoke some sort of extra sixth sense feeling. Like I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, it does. I think
Yeah.
I think all artists aspire to do that, and not
Mhm.
so many are successful or as careful with the selection as it sounds like you are, you know?
Thanks, man. Yeah, and some people have told me that like uh, it's very nice music to listen to whilst tripping on mushrooms or acid.
So, what or which artists do you look up to within your genre?
Probably Aphex Twin was the biggest
Yes.
inspiration in university for sure, and it's cool people mentioning him in my comments because like he was like the music tech god
Hmm.
for everybody, and
I really got into him over this last summer.
yeah, yeah, just the fact that he was doing his own stuff, making his own equipment, and it's kind of an oddball, but he made like really crazy sounds too. I did a project on his track, the one where he put his face in the spectrogram, the mathematical equation. Oh, I did a little project on that in university. And other than that, I don't know. I like a lot of just like fun dance music too. Like I was really big into electro house back when it was popular, and then like dubstep and bass music for a bit.
How
um,
how on earth did you get uh involved with Aphex Twin?
how did I get involved with Aphex Twin?
Yeah, you said you did something with one of his projects, correct? Or did I
Oh
did I
no 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 no! I did a project on him.
Oh, a
I didn't.
project on him. My
Yeah,
bad. I thought you said you like worked on one of his albums, and it's like, whoa, hold up. I
yeah. Yeah, no.
was like, that's a pretty big achievement, man, to just, you
Yeah,
know.
big step out of nowhere.
Yeah, okay. I misunderstood you there.
Yeah, all good.
It'd be a dream though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just did like it was like a book report type thing, except for a track.
Oh, I see. I thought you
Mhm.
contributed to one of his
No,
albums.
no, no, not so far. No such luck.
So, what can we expect from you as fans in the near future? What do you have in the works?
Well, um, the last thing before I put this latest tune out was the hyper card or no hyper reality series, and I do have like 3 volumes that I'm trying to put out for that. Volume 2, I just need to mix, and I need to fix my Tascam because the tape part is broken. So that's kind of mission critical right now. In general, in the future, I'm going to be announcing the soundtrack for the game I'm working on with my friend.
Right?
uh, and that'll be cool. I think we might make an announcement around Christmas because we're going to be working hard on the game at that point. And then other than that, I've been just trying to like honestly I've been doing a lot of like working on my health this year and trying to get back in the saddle with live streaming and like making videos and visualizations again. I think my YouTube channel is getting a little dusty, and but I've just been working on kind of like my streaming setup, and I've got 2 connects here that I've got working. I want to hook up to synths and visuals. So, and I don't know. Short answer, like a lot of stuff.
Right.
Hopefully, um, some stuff will come out within a reasonable amount of time. It's just I have
Mhm.
multiple threads going, and I'm always like doing bits and pieces.
Right. Just a bit scattered
Mm-hmm.
with all the different projects.
Yeah.
And hopefully the COVID restrictions, in Canada kind of loosen up if they haven't, so you can
Yeah, we'll see.
potentially do some live shows.
Yeah, there's been a couple of weird situations with people like asking me if I'm gonna be playing or going to certain events, and I'm like, no, I can't. But no, I'm just hanging in there. Um,
As everybody is, I would assume, it's kind of
yep.
just a period you have to wait out.
I mean, I'm completely fine with this just being an internet thing too. Like it kind of works with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, man, I think that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to cover with you here today. So
Okay.
thank you very much. Bill Jobs, everybody. I appreciate you joining me.
Hey man, yeah, I appreciate you having me.